10 ways your Mars trip will be more uncomfortable than you think. More individuals than ever are turning their loving gaze to the stars thanks to rapid advancements in space exploration and gloomy events in the news. Mars exploration and habitation have changed from a distant dream to a real, even immediate, objective. Numerous groups are now doing research and developing strategies to send people to the Red Planet in space. The Orion project, which would transport 2 to 6 humans to explore Mars, is currently being planned by NASA. The European Space Agency, numerous private initiatives, Russia, India, China, and Japan are also preparing to transport people to the planet that is 4 solar systems away. Scientists and groups alike warn that we are depleting Earth's resources much too quickly to support life as we know it. Sadly, some people have interpreted these results as recommending that we leave Earth and concentrate on traveling to other planets as soon as feasible. Scientists caution against considering Mars as a next Earth that could satisfy all of humanity's needs in the event that this planet is destroyed. According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, it is technically possible to terraform, reconstruct, and change Mars into a biosphere similar to Earth. He added, though, if we have the ability to transform another planet into Earth, then we have the ability to transform Earth back into Earth. We should definitely concentrate on doing both given the uncertainties of the future. Nevertheless, you should continue reading if your curiosity surpasses your concerns to find out what you may be getting into. And if you want to visit Mars, we look forward to seeing the photos you send back. 10. Loneliness. Severe loneliness, on the other hand, can potentially result in major health issues. There is little likelihood that Mars will resemble the intricately interconnected communities and societies that have been developed for generations on Earth, even if it eventually becomes reasonably well inhabited with tourists. Travelers to Mars might participate in complicated individual activities, conduct dialogues with robots, and other activities to counteract the lessening of human interaction. 9. Muscle mass loss. You may have noticed that astronauts on the International Space Station spend a lot of time exercising on stationary cycles and other equipment if you have seen footage of them there. They do this because a change in gravity has a significant effect on the muscle makeup of the body. As citizens of Earth, we hardly give our anti-gravity muscles, the quadriceps, as well as the muscles in the calves, neck, and back, any attention. However, the loss of capacity would be obvious very soon without the daily impact of gravity on certain body components. Current research focuses on short-term flights and stays and countermeasures to maintain people's bodies functioning and healthy, particularly their muscular systems. Nobody has ever lived for decades or a lifetime on a faraway planet, though. Therefore, it has been unable to thoroughly research the long-term effects of residing in certain locations. Your skeletal system, reproductive health, and organs are all directly impacted by the condition of your muscles as well. 8. Deficit oxygen. When visiting other planets or traveling to space, there are various techniques to produce oxygen from other materials. However, it will take some time before the oxygen levels on a planet like Mars can match those on Earth. Nearly all of your body's vital processes, including breathing, digestion, and cell reproduction and growth, depend on oxygen. Solid oxide electrolysis may be employed in the future to separate oxygen from the carbon dioxide that currently makes up 95% of Mars' atmosphere. 7. Extreme temperatures. Mars' scant atmosphere makes it nearly difficult for the planet to retain heat. The average temperature of the planet is -62 degrees Celsius, -81 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really cold, in case that wasn't previously obvious. Just wait till you find yourself shivering on a barren, far-off planet with no department stores from which to purchase throw blankets. If you thought forgetting to carry mittens for your ski vacation was terrible, just wait. 6. Extraordinary travel time. What a never-ending journey that was. While probes can reach Mars quickly, it will take far longer to get people there in their hole. It might take 400 or 500 days to complete even the shortest plans, which would require enormous quantities of energy. Be sure to bring extra snacks. 5. Radiation. On your journey to Mars, radiation will first be thrown at you. You will therefore need to constantly take care to avoid additional exposure for the duration of the time that you reside there. If you choose to return home, you will be exposed to radiation all the way there. Both solar energetic particles, SEP, and galactic cosmic rays, GCR, can harm the human body permanently. Astronauts are exposed to more radiation on the red planet than they would on Earth by just being there, and the trips there and back are considerably hazardous. The tiny, high-energy radiation particles can easily pass through other materials and the human body. DNA in cells may change as a result of the damage. This may result in seizures and brain degeneration in humans. Skin might be scorched, fractured, or even develop cataracts in the eyes and lungs. Radiation weakens the heart and digestive system, and it can even render a person sterile. However, there's no need to panic too much because the materials used to prevent this exposure merely keep growing better and more adaptable. For claustrophobia, NASA and other spaceflight agencies assess people for severe claustrophobia before ever choosing a crew. The tests, which included one where you are confined into a little black sack and are not told when you would be let out, were reportedly delightful for astronaut Chris Hadfield. Being zipped inside a small, dark place for an uncertain amount of time was just a terrific chance and good time to ponder and possibly have a little nap and relax, Hadfield said. That would be a considerably more miserable experience for the majority of us. The fact that they spend their days in such small places means that even the most courageous and steely of the chosen astronauts have some hope of relief. They are aware that they will eventually return to Earth and its big skies and clean air. Imagine having to spend the remainder of your life on Mars, moving between confined spaces and stations to keep radiation levels low and oxygen levels optimal. Without a claustrophobic spacesuit and helmet, you would never be able to venture outside of your camp and explore. 3 violent life forms. Astronauts have been bringing weaponry into space for years just in case, and for good cause. The orbital survival knives from the 1960s, machetes, and even machete weapons and handguns have been among them. The second factor is mentioned far less frequently, even though the larger allegation is that astronauts could face survival circumstances upon returning to Earth if they land on dangerous terrain or in hostile territory. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence for sentient life, the fossilized evidence strongly suggests that alien microorganisms exist. Also, it's almost impossible to deny the likelihood that there are other life forms in the universe. In fact, researchers found that less than 1 in 60 billion times are we the only technologically advanced species in any galaxy. If we only consider the distinctive characteristics of species and individuals on our own planet, the chances of coming across friendly or hostile Martian life forms are nearly identical. To estimate the effects of sharing a planet with a life form that doesn't appreciate having you around, consider all the times you've had a bad roommate or neighbor and magnify that number by 1 million. 2 visual impairment and deformed eyes. Around 1989, NASA started asking astronauts about their vision after their time in space. When an astronaut returned to Earth, scientists would examine them to see if their near and distance vision had been affected in any way. At first, what they discovered shocked them. It seems that several astronauts had far greater trouble seeing than they had before leaving Earth. NASA decided that a far more systematic investigation was required. They began carrying out more thorough tests, such as cycloplegic refraction, a method of ruling out various problem areas by relaxing other areas with eye drops, cycloplegic indirect ophthalmoscopy, a method of viewing the back of the eye through the retina, and dilated fundus examinations, which gives a clearer view of the eye by dilating pupils with eye drops. Poorer outcomes following spaceflight could occasionally be long-lasting or even permanent. It turned out that the eye, along with the brain and spinal fluid, was truly undergoing change. Intracranial hypertension, or excessive pressure on the brain and spine, is a significant potential offender. With 437 days in a row, Valery Polyakov currently holds the record for the longest stretch of time. Your voyage to Mars may easily take several hundred days, and that's just getting there, depending on the number of obstacles and variations in the distance. The likelihood of developing these medical conditions increases the longer you spend in a gravitationally changed environment. 1. Space madness. Scientists feared that once mankind reached space passengers would become into impulsive, suicidal, sexually deviant thrill seekers. They believed that being confined to small areas and lacking in contemporary comforts would cause space travelers to lose their cool. Amid reality, the first astronauts who were paid for their work were tough, composed, and even brave in danger. The idea of space madness became into a sort of an urban legend because many of the most terrifying fears of the time were ultimately proven to be unfounded. However, there were sporadic instances of persons who were unable to cope with the stresses of space. After their brief excursions outside the atmosphere, some individuals exhibited unusual behavior. Since a trip to Mars would take so much longer than currently planned spaceflight, any problems already observed would virtually probably worsen during the lengthy trip. In addition, water makes up a sizable portion of your brain. There hasn't been much research on how the gravitational field affects the structure of the brain. Currently, NASA is utilizing a variety of studies on people at the International Space Station to look for changes in brain plasticity. Astronauts carry out minor activities while traveling, such as mentally rotating images or completing a foam obstacle course. They track the peaks and valleys of their capacities throughout time. That's for now. We appreciate you for being here. View more our channel videos.